Aloha and welcome to Maui, Hawaii, where I am Maui's only shoe cobbler. My name is Terry Edmonds. In this video, I'm going to show you about 8 different types of Birkenstocks that I'm working on in this week's projects. So in this video, I'm going to be working on a derby style where I'll be putting on a new sole. And this customer wears these a lot for work, so I'm going to choose a different type of a sole. I am doing a new, this is the original insole. I'll be putting in a new insole footbed. And for this one, we're also going to be dyeing, cleaning, and polishing. New laces, things like that. And this is basically the same style of a derby. We're going to do the same thing. Dye, polish, finish off with a more rugged sole. And the sole that I've chosen for this client is actually one of the newest technology from Vibram called Kigama. And this is a really great tough sole. It goes on anything. You can put it on sneakers, and I'm going to put it on the bottom of these Birkenstocks. The other derby that this customer has is a real piece of work, and that is this one. You can see the insole is just completely just disintegrating. So I'm gonna go ahead and beef up the lining here using some nice soft leather. I don't have a sample for you, but I will show you some pictures at the very end. And then I'm also going to be doing things like repairing the stitching around the edges, of course, dye, polish, and a new sole for this client as well. And we are also going to be doing a new footbed for him. Now, before I get a ton of questions, I cannot send you these Birkenstocks. These are sold to me through my wholesale license only, and so all I can say is search the web. There are other things that you can do with your Birkenstock cork footbeds though. You can clean the footbed with a little bit of easy suede cleaner. You can also put a cork renew around the outside. This stuff is really great. It really tends to hold the integrity of the cork and keep them alive. So there's a lot that you can do there. Then I'm also going to be working on these Birkenstock clogs. They're quite nice, but again, this client works with them, does them for work. So I'm going to do 2 different types of soles. I have 2 pairs of Birkenstocks in this style for him. And what I'm going to do first is do a 1/4 inch of this smooth crepe. It's a very light material. I'm going to first sand off the bottom of this this sole. It's easier for me to sand them off than to just use a thinner and then peel it off, but that's what you can do at home. And I do have lots of videos on how to do that, but I'm going to use my beautiful sander here, and it's going to just take it right off for me. Then I'm going to apply this 1/4 inch of smooth crepe, which is available on Amazon, and it's on my Amazon shopping cart under Birkenstocks. Then I am going to do 2 different types of treatments. On one pair, I'm going to do these really cool Vibram skull and crossbones. I didn't even know there was such a thing until this client brought it to my attention. So I'm very excited to put that on. That's one pair. And then the second pair, I'm going to do the Vibram sole as well with that 1/4 inch crepe, just to give it a little bit of cushion, okay? That's a really rugged, durable finish for these Birks. Then this was another one, the same client that has these big black Birkenstocks, dripped bleach on the front of these. And so I went ahead and dyed them black with the Angelus black suede dye and shoe dressing. And I did 2 coats of that so that you didn't see the streak marks from the applicator. And then I went ahead and applied my suede renew, which is really nice. You just spray it. You know, I did it a couple of times to get a nice finish on it. And then after it's all dry, you can actually take, they do a built-in brush in the lid, but it kind of roughs up that suede, which is nice. I use a nylon brush for that because I have so many here, and that's a nice tool, but that's what this is also designed for. And so now the last part I'll do, which I have just a little drop here on the front. So I'm going to go ahead and sand the outside of this edge so it brings it back to the nice original surface. And then those will be done. Oh, I did stretch these for him because he likes them so much. He tried to find something online and he ended up having to have to buy a little smaller size. So I put it on a length and a width stretcher. I mean, a length and a width stretcher. So that'll give him a little bit more room. And I cranked it up pretty high. So this should give him a lot of relief. Anyway, so those are really fun. I also get asked all the time, what happens when your dog eats your Birkenstock? Well, I was written that letter by Diana, and she sent in that question to me, and well, voila, wouldn't we have something just like that? So the dog fell in love with her shoe and ate her shoe apart. So I do a lot of this, like I said, I'm actually gonna line it with a really light pigskin leather. It's kind of thin, but it's gonna be strong enough for the interior of this to really give it some strength. This is a pretty thick leather that's on here, which I don't have in stock, and I don't really want to add that anyway because it's too thick to double up. And we will turn these shoes from this to this. I can tell if a Birkenstock is going to be easy to take off the sole. It will already be coming apart. And this is not. This is like really on there. However, if you're at home, this is what I would suggest you do. I use a little bit of a thinner. Mine happens to be the glue thinner, the Master's thinner. And I'm going to go ahead and just test it and see what happens. And I know that I'm going to go ahead and dye this shoe. So I don't mind if I get some thinner watermarks, which can happen. If you put on the thinner, it can, come up on the leather and then make a mark. But I'm gonna dye this, so I don't care. This shoe can take a beating. Set of nippers. And let's see what happens. Actually, let's use my fun shoe jack. I've shown this to you guys before. I love these things. This is like a cobbler's main tool, is the shoe jack. If you ever see one on sale or at antiques or something, you should grab it if you're into shoes. And I'll just show you. I'm coming in from one of the sides. And I'm just gonna see if it's gonna come up for me. Let's try it this way. And it'll come up, which is kind of nice. It's kind of medium, coming up medium. But it is nice to not have to use my sander so much if I don't have to, but then I'm also not gonna sacrifice my wrists. And it's starting to come apart. You can see that. So I'm going to keep going. This is exactly why I sand them off. It's so much easier. But it's a great sign. I mean, Birkenstocks do a nice job. Once I've taken off the sole, then what I do, no matter what style, it could even be this style Birkenstock, I'm gonna come in here, and I don't know if you can see from this angle, I'll try to show you pretty closely, but the shoe is coming apart on the inside. This outside is coming detached from the sole. I'm just doing this because ultimately I want this shoe to be put well together. So I'm gonna leave this shape here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my glue gun, which you guys have already seen, and really get inside this this little ridge like this. And the easiest thing to do is to match the glue line. See, I think you can see there, I'm matching that glue line. And then you push this against itself. So it actually will apply, it will put glue on both surfaces. And then, as you know with my gluing tutorials, you can let it come apart. We're gonna let that cure. Then when I go to press it together, it's really gonna stick. So now I'm just going to do the rest of it. And I'm not disassembling this whole thing because I want it to hold its shape. These are some of his favorite work shoes, and so I want them to fit right. And sometimes if you try to put them back just right off of, take them apart and then put them back, they don't always go back the same spot. So I'm doing that. So this is uneven here. This client wears down the heel. So I'm going to take a little bit of my crepe and I'm going to do a skived piece on here and build it up so that it's even when the client walks, right? We don't want to have back problems for them. So I'm going to, on these, I'm going to polish these as well. I'm not going to dye these because I know that these are some of his favorite work boots. And dye can sometimes, if it's not tested, can bleed. The color will come off. So I don't want that to happen to him. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to polish it first with some cream wax, and then I'm going to put on some stain wax, and this boot will be good as new. And I'll probably even put a coat of moisturizer on first. So there we go. And I like to do it before I put the sole on. It makes it so much easier to get around this corner and get a really nice finished look. If I would have put the sole on first and then tried to do it, I would probably get the material onto the soling material, the polish, and it just doesn't have a nice clean look. So I'm going to go ahead and do it while the soles are off of these. This one, of course, it doesn't matter because the sole's going to go right onto the bottom of this. I've gone ahead and cut my patterns and glued, and as soon as this dries, I'll attach these. I'll sand them down and then I'll put the sole on. This is the best leather lotion. I'm using it so when I put on the polish will really sink in. All of these products are available on my Amazon shopping cart. So I'm going to do the first layer of this sole, and I'm using this material. It is called orthopedic crepe. This is in the 1/4 inch, and it's really light. It's great for projects like this where it's going to add a little bit of cushion in between this very skinny sole. So we want to make sure that the shoe's comfortable, but this sole is going to be really great and durable. So this will just add a little bit of padding. And it's so easy, and this material is very easy to cut. So I'll show you. I'm just going to do a couple of patterns here. I like to give myself a little bit of room to be able to trim it. So, and the stuff is so easy, you could even cut it just with a razor knife at home. There's one. I'm going to do two because I have 2 sets of these shoes for him, and I'm doing the same padding in between the soles. Razor knife because it cuts so easily, and go right in between these patterns. to have this extra space right around here, so I'm going to trim that off because I can reuse that. So this is what I used as scraps for building up the heels on these guys. So I just glued the sides, trimmed them off, sanded them flush, and I'm actually going to glue these surfaces next. That's going to be this part. I'm going to add a little bit of thinner to my glue so it's a little bit more runny. This glue dries really, or this crepe dries really fast. So I'm gonna go ahead and assemble it. It's been drying out for about 20 minutes. I like to make sure that I get all of the edges. I'm going to go ahead and take my razor knife and I'm going to trim out around the sides. I'm not going to go too super close because I know that I'm going to come through with my sander and blend this sole and the next sole together so that has a nice flush look. There we go. And next thing we're gonna do is get ready for the final sole. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue the bottom. Okay, and there we go. I've gone ahead and I've glued every sole together with the top sole. So this is the Vibram K-Gamma, and it is an awesome sole. You can buy this on your own out there in the World Wide Web. You can check my Amazon shopping cart for it. I polished it so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these on the grinder now and sand them down flush with the rest of the sole. Everything's going pretty well. After I get done, this is the really beat up one. Once I get done with this, I'm putting a heel back in here because it's completely worn out inside, and this is one of his requests there. So I've glued that inside down, but I'll come back with some leather, some really nice black leather, and it'll be really comfortable. And I did glue these sides, which I liked. That's nice there. So we have that, and then I also have put on this is the skull and crossbones. Isn't that amazing? I totally love it. Easy to use, it glued together really well. You can buy these yourself. I actually bought these on Amazon, and I'll link them in my Amazon shopping cart. But I also put that 1/4 inch of smooth crepe to give it a little bit of cushion. And so everything's going pretty well. The new insoles didn't fit. These are a size 48, and my replacement 48s for the derby were almost an inch. They're 3/4 of an inch too long. So I've reordered a size 47 and see what the difference is, if that'll work inside the shoe. Anyway, so that's kind of fun. So that'll be the last piece, and I'm gonna go ahead and just get sanding them, and then we'll put in some laces, and I think we're gonna be really good. As far as this one goes, I used a neutral. This was such an interesting brown. It's a brown for sure. I could have gone dark brown and really made this dark, but I thought, you know, it was just kind of a dry shoe, so I put the neutral cream and the neutral wax on top of it, and then just buffed it out, and it brought out the color of the brown. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, so I'll get to sanding these now.